James, you mentioned before we called a show, you did want to give some thoughts on what you think maybe a future for mostly local community might look
See?
like. I threw Adam a bone there.
Oh, yeah, right.
Open floor for you, James, just to share your thoughts on what you think might be compromised or whatever your ideas are there.
Yeah. So my current, I'm kind of like kicking off my own research phase, which I wanted to do this start a couple weeks ago, and then kids and life and holidays now. So hopefully over the holidays, I'll get some time to really dig in here. I'm excited about something. And this, like, again, this is not mutually exclusive. It's not zero sum. Like, I fully support the local first community. I think it is a really, really cool idea, and cool tech. And I'm surprised at how, like, it's not mainstream, but I'm surprised at how popular it's become. I was at some point was like, there's no way people are going to actually really invest in this because this is so much work to build a whole new platform. So really cool to see it. But what I am thinking now is that a lot of the benefits, at least that I was after, I might be able to get them with doing things just more on the edge. And so the way that my thoughts have been sort of evolving is that basically the way Actual worked was it ran your whole SQLite database and it did the entire backend of the app. Backend, it was all local. Was in a web worker, right? So it was a different process, but locally on your machine. And you could, so once you're in the web worker, you can do what, like, the SQL queries were literally synchronous. Like, they weren't even async because it's actually faster. Like, it's so fast that the async overhead of doing multiple promise calls is actually slowing it down. And like, just architecturally, it was just like having to, you introduce an async call somewhere and then all the call stack has to be async. It's just super annoying. Um, super. So, like, going back to Johanna's development experience there, just like, it's amazing. Once you're in that web worker, you async call into it, but then once you're in there, it's great. Um, but with all of the problems that I've been saying, like, it's hard to integrate services. It's just kind of this hybrid approach can be mentally taxing. I just kind of want things to work the way everybody else works, which is that you hit a server and you get something back. What if we do this multi-tenant approach is really interesting to me. And there's a company, Turso.tech, which is building out a scalable infrastructure for this, where every single person, every single request even could possibly get their own SQLite database. And so, what if basically I took this web worker backend that is local, but it's not actually local, and it's at the closest data center point that could possibly be closest to you. And so, in that way, I'm still accepting the fact that there is a network call, that there is this boundary there, but it's very close. So I'm hosting currently my website, jlongster.com, on the Northern Virginia Oz data center or whatever, and I'm in Richmond, so I'm a couple hours drive, and it's about 20 milliseconds overhead. So I think we can assume 20 to 30 milliseconds overhead for a moderately non-fine-tuned network infrastructure. I think that could even be faster. That to me feels acceptable. And once I accept that single round trip cost, then I can move everything to my server, still have the local SQLite database and have my development experience there. And like, possibly there's like the SQLite syncing going on in the backend. So I'm not ditching syncing, right? You're probably going to have to like sync these changes across a backend distributed network. But it's just nice to now own that, because now I can do analytics. I can like flip something on in just a minute without having to like get everybody to refresh their clients, right? I can do a multitude of clients. If I wanted a terminal app for my finances, I could curl something really fast and get a buttload of charts. I could do like a quick, like, I just get that API like instantly, right? Um, and like, it crosses that network boundary, which lets me do everything the way that everybody else is kind of doing it. And also, so like, it's like the same stuff might be going on, even the syncing, because you're probably going to have to be syncing that SQLite database because you're just mutating it locally on that edge instance, right? It's going to have to replicate that somehow elsewhere. But it's like, if you draw the line of the app, and local first is like, at least uh, for the most part, we're kind of having this hybrid thing where it like sort of depends on a server, but for the most part, a local first app in principle is like, you draw the line of the entire app and all of the data, and it's like all on your computer, and then there's another circle which is the server, and then it's like syncing to the server. This is like, if you draw the line all around your app, but then it like reaches over into the server for like one little bit, which is that like edge node, and then the edge node is talking to all of the complex server. Um, and the more I go down this, the more it's like, well, I really just want to make a single request to the server, right? I don't want to have to go back and forth. Maybe I'm evolving to be a use the platform person, and I'm just leaning into very, very light client apps. And now I'm starting to lean into this whole React model where it streams live updates. It's kind of fitting that it's taken years to get here, but it seems like React server components are actually a thing now. And it is a compelling model, right? A long time I was like, this is the weirdest idea ever, especially when I was local first. I was like, this doesn't benefit me at all. Now, suddenly, if I'm flipping my position a little bit, it's like React server components are amazing because I can run the entire app on the back end, get all of this stuff that I want, stream in just a couple lightweight client components that I want to. I do full navigations, maybe even possibly. And the thing that also gets me is the ability to flip open new tabs instantly. That's one of the things that I'm a little bit like, because things are all local, it's just slow to boot up the app. And normally I was like, well, you boot up the app once and you're digging in your finances for like an hour. Like I don't really care. But the thing that does feel nice is just to like